Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We have ourselves a jam-packed show for you all, as there's lots to discuss in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Lake Elsinore Storm. Yes, the Lake Elsinore Storm, the AA affiliate for the Dodgers. They have made the playoffs. How big is that? And what other AA teams do we have in Southern California? Also, Angel City unfortunately took a loss, but it wasn't as bad as the Galaxy's loss to Sacramento when they lost in the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinals. How bad was that loss, and what do I have to say about that loss? Also, the Lakers, they entered the draft. They were able to get a draft pick. Huzzah! Who did they draft, and will he be able to make an impact on Darvin Ham's new squad? Also, we have some MLB action as the Dodgers and Padres are still duking it out for the NL West supremacy, while the Angels are still trying to get their sea legs back. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday wherever you are listening from. It doesn't matter. As long as you are listening, I am glad you are here. Apologies for missing yesterday. I had things happening in my whirlwind life, but it is all good. I'm here. The show must go on. And without any further delay, let's get on into that Southern California goodness. But first and foremost, we have a word from our sponsor. iSports Radio is proud to call the Southern California Warriors the official sponsor of iSports Radio. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to trap for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get the second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can follow them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors and on Instagram at SouthernCalifornia_Warriors and on Facebook by typing in the word Southern, then California, then Warriors. iSports Radio is available on Twitter and on Instagram at iSportsRadio and on Facebook by typing in the word IE, then Sports, then Radio. Also, iSports Radio, our platform, has a website, www.iesportsradio.com, and when you go there, you'll see a Patreon link at the top, which will start out at $5 a month. This will get you a shout-out from all 28 of our shows, and higher tiers will include iSports Radio merchandise, access to IESRU, the podcasting university of iSports Radio, and even a chance to be featured on iSports Radio's segment of their flagship show, The Defining Moment with Larry B. Because for the past 8 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans and for the fans. With your help, you're ready to take the next biggest step. Thank you, everyone, for all of your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Big shout out to our Patreon supporters as well. Bay Area raised apparel, Marcus Loaf's Great, Key to the Gate, and an anonymous supporter. Also, a shout out to Justin Ekstrom, our fan of the month. He is a Minnesota Vikings fan hailing from Minnesota, the land of 7th Street Pizza and the home of Vince Wright, the sports governor. Big shout out to X-Squad affiliates. Also, we would like to give a big thank you once again to everyone that made our 8th year anniversary super duper special. And with all that out of the way, let us get on into those Southern California sports. Let's discuss something different. Let's discuss the AAA baseball. I said AA baseball, my apologies, but AAA baseball. So we'll start off with the Lake Elsinore Storm. Now, you're probably wondering who that is, and it's obviously mind-boggling, but they're basically the AAA affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Padres, they're the AAA affiliate of the Padres, which is awesome. But the Dodgers also have a AAA affiliate, and so do the Angels. So the Lake Elsinore Storm, they've basically clinched a spot in the playoffs, which makes me happy because, number one, they are Southern California, and number two, they've clinched a spot in the playoffs. Now, granted, I don't know much about AAA baseball, and that is my apology. And once again, I apologize. It's actually the single A affiliate, so I'm just messing up on the AA, AAA. It's single A. Maybe I'm just so used to looking at batteries from my job, but either way, Lake Elsinore Storm baseball team is the single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres, and they also have year-long venue for concerts, festivals, and other events. Either way, the Lake Elsinore Storm baseball team has clinched a spot in the playoffs, and they have won 40 wins, all in the first half. So that is absolutely amazing, and I'm so super-duper proud of the Lake Elsinore Storm. I really could not be more proud of them, and I hope they're able to do great things. Now, let's discuss the other single A affiliates when it comes to the Southern California teams in baseball. So, obviously, we have the Lake Elsinore Storm, which, it's all awesome. It's really cool. We got a team in Southern California, and here's how it works. I think there are 4 teams in Southern California when it comes to the single A affiliates, which it's cool. And they actually have 8. It's 8 teams overall, and then it's divided into 2 divisions: the Cal North and the Cal South. The Cal South is obviously Southern California, with the exception of 1 team from Arizona. Blech. And then we also have the Cal North, which is basically all Northern California teams. So we have 3 teams from Southern California when it comes to the single A affiliates. We have the Lake Elsinore Storm, the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, and then we have the Inland Empire 66ers, which, no offense, I'm not going to try to bash the name. I kind of get it because Route 66 and whatnot, but they could have picked a better name. I digress. But the Inland Empire 66ers are the single A affiliate for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And then, like I said, the Lake Elsinore Storm is the single A affiliate for the Padres. And then the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes are the single A affiliate for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that's basically single A affiliates in a nutshell right there, and it's awesome that we've got these teams, and I look forward to bringing you more updates. I just wish I had the actual standings in front of me. It looks like the single A affiliate standings haven't been updated, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. I'll eventually find them, and I'll give you all the 411 about that, just because no team in Southern California should be left behind. You know what I'm saying? So that is that for some single A affiliate baseball. Once again, I'll eventually find it. Here it is, the No, it's not. So yeah, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at single A. I guess they started like half league play. They started like some other play the first half of league, and then they've started the second half of league. So I guess Lake Elsinore is 0-1 after they lost, while the Inland Empire 66ers and Rancho Cucamonga Quakes are both 1-0. So I guess this is a different start to a different season, as the Quakes beat the Storm and the 66ers beat Vision. I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. Visalia Rawhide. If I mispronounce that, I totally apologize. Once again, I don't understand what an Arizona team is doing in the Cal South Division, full of Southern California teams. But the Inland Empire 66ers defeated the Visalia Rawhide. So it's basically that right there. And Inland Empire overall is 33-34, while the other teams, getting to that, the Quakes are a whopping 37-30, while the Storm is 40-27, which is quite impressive. Quite impressive indeed. Yes. So good stuff right there for all those teams. So, and I wish them nothing but the best. We'll try to get into more of that on a weekly basis. But now let's jump on into the actual MLB sort of thing. So, as we all know, the MLB is quite something with the Dodgers and the Padres. Currently, the Dodgers are playing the Atlanta Braves, and they are down 2-0, which makes me sad because they cannot be losing games like that. Yesterday, the Dodgers beat the Braves 10-1, and then earlier in the week, the Dodgers swept the Cincinnati Reds. On Tuesday, they won 8-2. Then on Wednesday, they won 8-4. And then the Dodgers won 10-5 on Thursday. This past weekend, or last weekend, the Dodgers lost 2 out of 3 to the Cleveland Guardians. They lost 2-1 in 10 innings last Friday. Then last Saturday, the Dodgers won 7-1. And then this past Sunday, the Dodgers lost 5-3, which was a bummer. Like I said, currently they're taking on the World Series champion Atlanta Braves. The Braves are up 2-0, and the two teams are actually being played on Fox. I actually could turn on my TV and watch, but I'm not going to. So this is kind of a big series just because they're facing one of the hotter teams in the MLB. Yes, the Braves did just recently lose a few games to the Chicago Cubs of all teams, but the Braves have basically risen from the ashes. And honestly, it's quite impressive that they have turned it around. It was looking like that the NL East was going to be a runaway courtesy of the Mets. However, the Braves are going to make it quite interesting on the Mets just because the Mets do have that yearly tradition where they wind up collapsing after a strong start to the season. It's kind of like the Colorado Rockies, in my opinion. So, looking ahead, following this series, the Dodgers have a 3-game series on the road still when they play the Colorado Rockies, and then they have a 4-game series against the San Diego Padres at the Chavez Ravine going from Thursday all the way to next Sunday. Before we continue, we guys give a big shout to John Felipe in the chat room. He says, have a great show, Teran. I appreciate you. He had his show yesterday, the Carolina Cast, and he did a fantastic job. I imagine he did. I will have to check out the playback of that. So keep doing your thing, John Felipe, one half of the Brothers Blue. So back to the Dodgers. Next week is going to be a huge week for the Dodgers, as that series against the Padres is going to be crucial, especially when it comes to those NL West standings. Like, one win or loss could shake up the entire NL West. And with how the Giants are basically losing ground in the NL West, I hate to bring up the Giants, but it needs to be brought up. The Giants last night lost to the Reds 4-2, and the Giants are kind of the closest thing that's going to be catching up to the Dodgers and the Padres, and they also could be the other team that clinches one of the wild card spots in the National League. So overall, I didn't mean to go off topic when it came to the Giants, but overall, the Dodgers and the Padres are basically a two-horse race unless San Francisco gets hot. I highlight out the Diamondbacks and the Rockies are going to be catching up to those three teams, aka the former, anytime soon. But you never know what could happen. There's still quite a bit of season remaining. We're only 69 games into the season if you're the Dodgers. And then if you're the Padres, you're basically 73 games into the season. So that's that for the Dodgers. Mentioning the Padres is actually a perfect segue to go into the Padres. So the Padres kicked off a 4-game series against the Phillies at Petco Park. They split the first 2 games. On Thursday, the Padres lost to the Phillies 6-2, but yesterday the Padres defeated the Phillies 1-0. Yesterday, as in Friday. Tonight, they are facing the Phillies at 7:10 p.m., and then Sunday they have them at 1:10 p.m. The Padres swept the Diamondbacks this past week as they won the first game on Monday 4-1, and the second game in 11 innings 3-2, and then they won the third game on Wednesday 10-4. Last weekend was kind of a weekend to forget if you were the Padres, as they got swept by the Colorado Rockies. Yeesh. They lost the first game last Friday 10-4, then the Saturday game 5-4, and then third game on Sunday 8-3. So those losses right there could have helped the Rockies get back into contention when it comes to the NL West. But they're still very much in it. Like, if they had won one, if not 2 of those games, they'd either be tied for the division lead with the Dodgers, or they'd be ahead of the NL West pack. So overall, for the Padres, they're still in good shape, unless they have like a late season collapse like they did last year. Yikes! So following their series against the Phillies, the Padres have a 2-game series against the Diamondbacks in Arizona on Tuesday and Wednesday. I already discussed their series against the Dodgers and how big of a magnitude that is. I should also make note that the following week, following the 4th of July and the day after, the Padres have the Giants at home in a 4-game series. And they also have another 4-game series against the Rockies following that series. As we say hello to Mike Pat in the chat room, he says he was afraid he missed SoCal this week. It's all good. I had to shift it around just because I had something come up yesterday and I needed to attend. So it happens, but the show must go on. I'm not going to miss it, or you're not going to miss it. No one's going to miss SoCal Supreme Sports Show this week. So, overall for the Dodgers and Padres, it's basically going to be a tight race, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how both of these teams play out. It's going to be a chess match, and it's going to be boiled down to which team is the hottest team come October. And it'll be quite... I don't even think that home field advantage will matter for the team that doesn't get the wild card. Especially since that... Remember, the Dodgers and the Padres played in the playoffs in the second round, or in the divisional round, and they eventually saw the Dodgers winning that series back in 2020, the bubble playoffs. Either way, I don't think home field advantage is going to matter when it comes to these two teams, especially when the Padres get Fernando Tatis Jr. back. I think it's going to be quite something to see him make his return following his injury, and I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks when it comes to the Padres and the Dodgers. Mike says, it's all good, brother. We have a surprise early return of Let's Wine tomorrow. So Let's Wine about DMV Sports is going to be making its return tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Definitely do check out Mike Pat. He's also the head editor of the IE Sports Radio blog page. Make sure you check that out on the IE Sports Radio website. Now we jump on into the black sheep of the Southern California baseball teams, and that is the Angels. Once again, it's basically just another one of those weeks that the Angels can't seem to gain a whole lot of traction. So this past week, earlier in this week, the Angels on Wednesday, they honored their 2002 World Series team, which was some good times. They had players like Troy Gloss, Tim Salmon, Torrey Hunter. I'm blanking on his name. Vladimir Guerrero, that's the guy. And then lots of other players that were from that 2002 team, which beat the San Francisco Giants. Yay! So, against the Royals, they played the Royals on Wednesday, but let's just say the first two games were kind of ones to forget about. So the first game against the Royals, they lost 6-2 on Monday, and then on Tuesday, the Angels lost to the Royals 12-11 in 11 innings. The Angels did all that coming back from, well, all that rallying back in the 9th inning just to lose in the 11th inning. Not even the extra man on base rule could save them. But on Wednesday, which was, I should also mention, the Angels even got 8 RBIs from Shohei Ohtani, but that still wasn't enough. And it's really, really disappointing just because Shohei Ohtani is a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent, and the fact that the Angels still can't win with him is just disgusting. And the Royals aren't even that good. It's just horrible, man. It's like, get out of here, dude. Fortunately for the Angels, they were able to salvage one win against the Royals as they beat the Royals 5-0 on Wednesday, which was the night that the Angels honored their 2002 World Series championship team. Speaking of Shohei Ohtani being a generational talent, he was able to have himself a monster game at the pitcher position. He struck out 13 batters, which was a new record, and he pitched 8 innings. Absolutely amazing. Gave up no runs and only walked once, one batter, and overall the Angels only gave up 2 hits, which was quite nice. So it was just a better game. I just wish the Angels would have taken at least 2. At least they won on the night where they honored their World Series team. That was some good news. It's just not, it would have been even better news to not lose the series against the Royals. Especially, again, the Royals are probably the worst team in the MLB, and it's just disgusting. They're the second worst team in the American League as a whole, and they're trending toward being the worst team in the entire league, as they're the fourth worst team in the league. So, yeah, not good, Angels. Not good. You're still wasting Mike Trout's talent as well as Shohei Ohtani's talent. You gotta do something about that. Back to the Angels and what's been going on with them. So this past weekend, they were able to take 4 out of 5 games against the Seattle Mariners. Last Thursday, they beat the Mariners 4-1. And then last Friday, they lost to the Mariners 8-1. Then last Saturday, they took 2 games against the Mariners in a doubleheader, as they won the first one 4-2, and then won the second one 3-0. And then on Sunday, the Angels beat the Mariners 4-0, as, once again, they only gave up 2 hits, which is still pretty surprising if you ask me. So, good job for the Angels for taking 4 out of 5 against the Mariners. It just would have been better if the Angels did not lose 2 of 3 to the Royals. So this weekend, the Angels are playing the Mariners yet again. This time it's going to be in Angels Stadium, as yesterday, Friday, the Angels lost to the Mariners 4-3, which, come on, dude, not again. And they even got a great game from Mike Trout. He had a home run and he had a triple, which, once again, another great game from one of the Angels' top players wasted. Like, why can't the Angels just make this easier on themselves? Like, they fell behind 3-0 and they just could not recover, and it's just sad, dude. Like, the pitching need, I don't get how the Angels still have bad pitching year after year after year after year. It's just hair-pulling, dude. So the Angels have 2 more games against the Mariners this weekend. They have one tonight at 7:07 p.m., and then they have one on Sunday at 1:07 p.m. Following the Angels series against the Mariners, they have a 3-game series against the Chicago White Sox at home on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then they have the day off on Thursday. Then they are back at it on next Friday and Saturday and Sunday against the Houston Astros. The Astros obviously being the American League West division leader, and they just recently hit the New York Yankees. So, boy howdy, that's going to be a tough game or tough series overall for the Angels. Like, even if the Angels were to take one game, that would still be a little bit of a win in my book. But on the road, that's going to be so tough, especially since the Astros are just playing on a new level, man. They're for sure taking the AL West. I just don't see anyone overtaking them. And for the Angels, it's all about catching up in that wild card race. Like, they're still 6 back of the... I guess they're having 3 wild card spots, which... I guess anything to have the Angels in the playoffs, I guess. So, the National League is probably the most closest when it comes to the wild card race. I mean, you have the Padres at the number 1 wild card spot, and the Braves at the number 2 wild card spot, and the Brewers and Cardinals knotted up at the 3rd and final wild card spot, and then the Giants are still lurking about for that 3rd wild card spot, 1 game behind. So in order for the Angels to basically get that final wild card spot in the American League, they really have to catch fire. I know they're banged up, but they have gotten a few of their players back from injury. I know they got Taylor Ward back. Anthony Rendon is still out for the season, which is a big blow for them. So for the Angels, they're just going to have to make do with what they've got and play the hand they're dealt. And then also, this kind of makes me wonder, Anthony Rendon signed that big contract a few off seasons ago. Does this mean the Angels lost that signing from Anthony Rendon? I know they eventually lost the Garrett Cole sweepstakes that same offseason when they were when they got Anthony Rendon. And I understand losing Garrett Cole was bad. However, they could have used their priority on pitching more so than hitting, in my opinion. During that offseason, of course. The pitching is still the main priority for the Angels just because it's really bad, dude. It's bad. Bad. Either way, the Angels are going to, like I said, they're going to have to make do with what they've got, and they really have to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. Only then will they get into the postseason, and we will finally get to see Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani playing in the playoffs, hopefully registering a playoff win. So that series I mentioned against the Chicago White Sox, it's kind of favorable. Like, the White Sox are also the same. They're also in the same boat as the Angels. It seems like the White Sox always have high expectations and then they wind up falling flat. Sometimes the White Sox have that same thing where they have high expectations, they make the playoffs, and then they fall flat in the playoffs. So for the White Sox, they are currently 33 and 37 as of right now during this podcast going on, this live podcast going on. So for the Angels, they need to strike while the iron's hot. Getting 2 of 3 would be crucial for the Angels, especially when they're going to Houston following the series. So we'll have to see what happens with the White Sox series. But overall for the Angels, they have to strike while the iron's hot. They have to win the games that truly matter. They have to beat up on the teams that they're supposed to beat up. I wouldn't call the Orioles a winnable game, especially since they're kind of improved. And also that the Marlins are kind of around the same level as the Angels. So all I can just tell you is that the July schedule is going to be brutal because the Angels are at Houston for that first week, and then following the series against the Orioles, the Angels have a daunting road as they have 3 games at home against the Astros, 2 games at home against the Dodgers, and then 3 games on the road against Atlanta. All in that order, by the way. And then it kind of lightens up when they take on the Royals and Rangers in 7 consecutive games. So that's basically that for the Angels' schedule in July. I don't mean to look that far ahead, but it's always good to just look at how the Angels are going to have a path to making the playoffs. Because the Dodgers and Padres are pretty much locks unless something drastic happens. The Angels are basically have fallen behind, and like I said, last week or a few weeks ago, having that 14-game losing streak does not help matters, and then getting Joe Maddon fired does not help matters anyway. So the Angels are just going to have to play the hand that they're dealt and just find ways to make sure they don't fall further back and they win the games that they're supposed to win. So that is that for the MLB talk. Let's jump on into some NBA talk because we have a draft to go over, as basically we had the two SoCal teams, the Lakers and the Clippers, both had draft picks, but they both came in the second round, which is, I guess, good. It's nothing too big, but it's nothing too bad. So we didn't get to see either SoCal team make a pick until the second round, as both teams decided to trade their first-round picks. The Clippers traded a majority of their picks in that Paul George trade, while the Lakers traded a majority of their picks for the Anthony Davis trade. Obviously, the Lakers have had more success than the Clippers in terms of winning a championship, but the Clippers are trying to pick up the pieces. Obviously, life without Kawhi did not help them last season. It really did not help that he didn't get to play one game. And then eventually Paul George being on the COVID list, or the COVID protocols list, in that final play-in game against the Pelicans did not help matters either. So, jumping on over to the Lakers draft pick. The Lakers actually managed to get a draft pick. They actually did not have a draft pick, considering they traded all of their picks away when it came to the Anthony Davis trade and the Russell Westbrook trade. However, they were able to get the Orlando Magic's 35th pick in this year's draft. Okay, it's not that awesome, but it really is good that the Lakers were able to get some draft capital. So, the Lakers, with the 35th pick in the 2022 NBA draft, selected Max Christie, guard out of Michigan State, which at first I didn't hear of this guy. I was like, who? I actually had a friend named Max Christie, ironically enough, but I did hear some good things about him. He's 19 years old. He was a McDonald's All-American back in high school. And then also, he averaged little over 9 points a game. And he also had 3 boards and 3 assists per game. He shot 32% from the field. I don't care about that number. The dude's only 19. Like, we can't just knock him for being only 19 years old. And I hate how some of these talking heads, Skip Bayless, had to, make fun of this pick. Just because he shot 32% from the field and then saying that he's going to pair well with Westbrook and LeBrick. So, all in all, we can give Max Christie some time. Like I said, he's only 19 years old. He's probably going to be one of the younger players in the NBA, and he's going to be a deer in headlights starting out. But once he gets his time, he's going to eventually, hopefully, sprout and flourish like the player that he is. And who knows, maybe he could be, I don't know who to compare him to, but maybe a miniature Taylor Horton Tucker. Either way, I'm kind of excited for this pick. It's better than nothing, considering the Lakers need to get young. That is what GM Rob Pelinka said. Lakers need to get young instead of having players that need to have a win-now mentality. So, I like this pick. I think the Lakers can benefit from this pick. And who knows, maybe the Lakers can actually groom him to becoming a superstar in the making. We'll see, though. So that is that for the Lakers pick. The only knock I have on the Lakers pick is that I wish, and this is my opinion, E.J. Liddell out of Ohio State was available at 35. Unfortunately, the Lakers passed on him, and they took Max Christie. If the Lakers could have gotten E.J. Liddell, that would have been huge right there for the Lakers. I would have legit loved E.J. Liddell on the Lakers because I'm pulling up his stats right now, and I know E.J. Liddell is super promising. Averaged 19 points per game with Ohio State, nearly 8 rebounds with the Buckeyes, and they also averaged 2 blocks and 2 assists for the most part with Ohio State. And he also had first team All Big Ten honors. So I wish the Lakers did not pass on E.J. Liddell. I don't understand how he fell all the way down that far. He eventually was picked up by the New Orleans Pelicans at 40. But, dude, getting that type of player on your team would have been crucial right there. You passed on a player, a big-time scorer that could have probably played the 3, 4, or 5. And unfortunately, you decided to pass up on him for a 19-year-old. I get it. The Lakers need youth. But E.J. Liddell is very good. I think Liddell would have been a great addition for the Lakers. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and the Lakers are going to have to deal with Max Christie, which I don't think is bad. I think the Lakers will deal with that. I think and I actually I made a mistake. The Pelicans drafted him at 41, not 40, so my apologies on that one, but still. Having E.J. Liddell would have been so crucial right there, but I can't complain. I think the Lakers will be fine with Max Christie. Like, the fact that they even got one draft pick is still a miracle. And John Felipe says the Hornets got McGowan's at 40. So, yeah, that was my mistake. I said Liddell was taken at 40 when instead he was taken at 41. All I just know is that the Pelicans got him. So, yeah, thank you, John, in the chat room. I do appreciate you for correcting me on that one. But I knew that the Pels got him. It's just that I got the number wrong. So, anyway, so now you jump on over to the Clippers pick. Speaking of the early 40s, the Clippers managed to get a second-round pick as they had this pick stashed in their pocket as the Clippers in the 2022 NBA draft selected, I'm going to probably butcher this guy's name, Moussa Diabate from Michigan. So I find it a little funny that both LA teams drafted players out of the state of Michigan. Lakers obviously got a player from Michigan State, and then the Clippers got a player out of Michigan. The rivalry continues. Either way, so looking at him, I guess it's decent. The prospect overview says, weary big man who is still developing as a scorer, but was a difference maker at times on both ends at Michigan thanks to his length and activity level. So, obviously, it's kind of promising. He did make a difference with Michigan, and obviously he has that pedigree from playing in the ever so tough Big Ten. And I think knowing the Clippers, they're probably going to utilize this guy to the best of their ability. He averaged 9 points per game in the 32 games that he only played in last season, and then he averaged 6 boards per game, which I think is good. So he's listed at 6'11", while the NBA.com draft listed him at 6'10". Either way, he was named to the Big Ten All-Freshman team. I think that is promising right there. So I think this pick is decent. Knowing the Clippers, they love to utilize like young guys or players that don't get a good rap and then turn them into like superstars, which I think is quite the trait to have if you're the Clippers. So I think the Clippers are going to make this pick really well, especially if he can pair up well with Ivica Zubac. And also, you never know what's going to happen with Kawhi. I'm sure he's going to be back next season, though. How he's going to be back after his ACL injury from the postseason a couple seasons ago will depend on what Kawhi Leonard looks like. But overall, I think it's a good pick for the Clippers. I didn't go over the Lakers pick on what the scouting report kind of said about him. So jumping backward to 35, prospect overview. Lanky, fluid swingman who showed his shooting ability for stretches at Michigan State, but had some ups and downs as a freshman, taking some time to adjust to the college game. I'm just going to say this right there. You missed a word, Mr. Prospect Overview. Whoever did that, basically, you get the mini dum-dum of the week for missing that word. Taking some to adjust. I'm pretty sure they meant to say taking some time to adjust to the college game. But again, the dude's only 19. So we can't, get too angry at him. So, and he only played 17.3 minutes per game, alongside Jalen Duren, AJ Griffin, and Jabari Smith, most of which are pretty good. So, back to Diabate, his defensive versatility was probably intriguing for the most part for Diabate, and I think if he could develop as a good on-ball defender, he could be a baby Kawhi Leonard. It's a little early to compare him to that, but I think it would be quite something to see him become a good on-ball defender. And if he could become a big scorer, then the Clippers struck gold on this. Again, the Clippers definitely love to make unknown players or little-known players into superstars. It's like finding that diamond in the rough, if you ask me. My hope is that the Lakers can get that same feeling from Max Christie, kind of like how they did with Kyle Kuzma and Trevor Ariza and a few of the other players. Even though they didn't really draft Trevor Ariza, but they also drafted Josh Hart. So we'll see what happens with both of these LA teams. Again, if Max Christie does not pan out, then them missing out on EJ Liddell is going to come back to haunt them big time. So that is going to do it for the NBA portion of the show. Great to see the Lakers actually making moves to getting younger and not older. And thankfully, Rob Pelinka has his head in the right direction. Regardless, we're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we'll have some MLS to discuss on how the Galaxy really disappointed in their, not the MLS, the U.S. Open quarterfinal. And we'll also have some NWSL to discuss and how San Diego Wave FC and Angel City are doing. Then we also have the Dum Dum of the Week award. So keep it locked here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
college football? And do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college in the CCCAA and in the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then, look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Matello, the host of the Yinzer Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports. Definitely do check out all of our amazing shows, such as Philly Sports Talk with Bobby Cash and Chris Amos, and also 3 and Out College Edition with myself and Larry B, or Larry B and myself. Also check out the Yinzer Report with Ben Mattel, and finally check out Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike Pat. He'll be coming back after a week off from last week, so it is great to have Mike Pat back on the air. But without any further delay, let's get on into segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So before we jump on into the soccer action, we're actually going to talk a little about the Chargers. So it's just the Chargers and not the Rams, unfortunately. Even though I did see NBC Sports power rankings when it came to the NFC that the Rams are on top, followed by the Packers, the Bucks, and surprisingly the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, where did that team come from? I know the Eagles got some young key pieces, but the Eagles? Man. Anyway, jumping back into the Chargers. So, this was actually according to Jeremy Fowler on ESPN. He actually dropped some nuggets. Well, not nuggets, but he dropped some big tidbits about the Chargers. So, he's talked to someone on the coaching staff, and he said this is the best offensive line the team has had in years, despite its right tackle, which he's obviously referring to Rashawn Slater being young. So that's a very promising sign for the Chargers. Considering they've had bad O-lines in the past where Phillip Rivers got decimated and Justin Herbert had a few years where he got sacked quite a bit, I think this is looking very promising for the Chargers. They have to protect their quarterback long term. They have to protect their quarterback long term. I don't care what it takes. They have to protect him at all costs. They have Corey Linsley. They have Rashawn Slater, like I just mentioned, who had a monster rookie year. And then they also have Zion Johnson, who I think is going to work well. So actually, I think Rashawn Slater is left tackle and Zion Johnson is right tackle. Either way, you get the point. Zion Johnson is actually a guard, so my apologies. So either way, Zion Johnson I think Zion Johnson is going to do good things. Like, if Rashawn Slater can do great things for the Chargers, I think Johnson can do the same thing. I really am confident in this pick. He's a big boy. He's 6'3", 312 pounds. So I can't really complain. And then looking at Rashawn Slater, he's also an offensive tackle who, as we all know, he had a stellar rookie year, keeping Justin Herbert clean for the most part. As he's 6'4", 304 pounds, and he had himself a great year. So I really think the Chargers are going to benefit well with Slater having another year. And once Johnson gets his feet wet, it should be quite promising for the Chargers going into this season. And I really think that he's going to flourish and protect Justin Herbert for the most part. Obviously, he's going to have to take on quite a bunch of good defensive tackles like Aaron Donald and Nick Bosa, and then a few others from the division like Max Crosby. But I think for the most part, Johnson is eventually going to do wonders for the Chargers' offensive line. So that is that for the first tidbit for the Chargers. So the second tidbit that Jeremy Fowler dropped was that the staff loves Khalil Mack's ruggedness that he brings. So Khalil Mack was obviously the player that everyone knows and loves, that came from the Chicago Bears, as the Chargers traded their second-round pick to the Bears, and they also traded I think it was a 7th-round pick to the Bears as well for Khalil Mack. So Khalil Mack obviously is a straight-up beast. He had a lot of success with the Raiders, and he also had some success with the Bears before injuries kind of hampered him. So the ruggedness that Mack possesses, in addition to getting sacks on quarterbacks, he's able to stop the run game quite nicely, which was something that Chargers really struggled with. So overall, for getting Khalil Mack, I really think it does wonders for the Chargers defense. And as long as Khalil Mack stays healthy, I think they are in good shape, and I think they could have success defensively, because the Chargers had a bottom 5 run defense, which was absolutely disappointing, and that was kind of what doomed them when it came to the entire season, especially in their games against Houston and the Raiders the second go-around. But overall, for the Chargers, in terms of Khalil Mack, I really think they got him for a steal. They got him for practically nothing. Just a 2nd-round pick and a 7th-round pick. Maybe it was 6th. Either way, that's a steal. And then the last part that Jeremy Fowler dropped was that the Chargers and Derwin James are in talks on an extension. So obviously, Derwin James sat out some of the OTAs due to having shoulder surgery, but he should be back in time for camp, and he should be ready for this upcoming season. And I really look forward to seeing what Derwin James can bring to the table. And if they do decide to lock him up, I really think that Derwin James can become one of the best safeties. Now, obviously, he's not the best safety as of right now. He still is coming off of that ACL injury. But I think in addition to him being so well defensively at his safety position, I think he could also like develop JT Woods, the 4th round pick from the Chargers this year, into a solid, strong safety. And I think that the Chargers can have some good upside with him, just like they had with Kaiser White when he was on the team. But I think, for the most part, I think Derwin James deserves the extension, and he deserves to be paid. The only thing that is going to hurt for the Chargers is that they're going to really, really get... It's really going to hurt them in terms of whatchamacallit, the cap space for this upcoming season. So, overall, I can't complain too much. I don't want Derwin James to walk out the door and become like a Jason Verrett, who eventually, I think he won a ring with the Patriots. But either way, I just don't want Derwin James to have that type of thing where the Chargers took him for granted, they let Derwin James walk, and then eventually Derwin gets a ring, kind of like Jason Verrett or something along those lines. Either way, I think the Chargers should lock up Derwin James as soon as possible. I know the salary cap it's going to put him probably in salary cap hell, but what can you do? Eventually they could restructure contracts and then get some money for Justin Herbert. So, we'll see. So that is that for the NFL side of things. Now let's jump on into the MLS side of things. And boy, do I have to rip the LA Galaxy, because my good golly gracious, their quarterfinal U.S. Open Cup game was horrible. Back to the Dodgers. They are actually down 2-0. They're still down 2-0 to the Braves. The Braves have a man on second with 2 outs, which, golly, please find a way to come back. Anyway, so back to the Galaxy. So the Galaxy were in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup, and they lost to Sacramento 2-1. They allowed Rodrigo Lopez to get the first goal of the game, and then the Galaxy were able to get an own goal from Sacramento, and then Sacramento was able to get a goal from Luis Felipe Fernandez, which eventually saw the Galaxy lose. Now, losing the game was not what bothered me. It was what was happening during the game. And what happened during the game was that the LA Galaxy didn't really care. And what was even worse is that one of Sacramento's players said that LA Galaxy didn't look like they cared. And I'm just like, what? It's like, I looked back on this game, and the Galaxy just didn't seem to give a care in the world. I get it, the U.S. Open Cup does not mean anything toward the MLS standings, but at least care. Like, actually give a crap. You're facing an interstate rival. And the fact that you were able to not win on your home turf is absolutely disgusting. Keep in mind they were coming off of winning El Tráfico in the round of 16 against LAFC. And then they were able to lose against Sacramento. Again, all credit goes to Sacramento for winning. Congrats to them. However, I want to see the Galaxy actually show effort. That's disappointing right there. When you get called out by the other team for not caring in the world, that just means that you don't... It just shows that your body language wasn't there and that your mind was not there in that game. And it's just sickening. It sickens me to my core that the Galaxy were able to not win this game and they just didn't care. And the fact that the other team had to bring it up just really speaks to high volumes of how the Galaxy need to find a way to just not have this this casual attitude when it comes to games. I don't care if this game does not count. Actually compete. It would have been awesome to see the Galaxy in the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup. Instead, they lost to a team that I think is like underneath them. I think that Sacramento is like the like feeder program for one of these other teams. They're from the USL, so oh my gosh, I could not believe this. And the USL is home to the LA Galaxy too, which is cool. And then I don't know if LAFC has a team. I actually don't really follow the USL. I'm sorry, please forgive me, but the LA Galaxy 2 is basically the home of the LA Galaxy in the USL. So the fact that the Galaxy lost to a USL team sickens me to my core, and the fact that they didn't even care really is disgusting. So, for the Galaxy in their next game, they don't have a game until Wednesday when they play Minnesota at home, which, if they actually show effort, they could actually win, especially since Minnesota has only won 5 games this season. They have a majority of their games being losses, despite having a goal differential of only -1. So that's something the Galaxy need to do. They actually have to win the games that truly matter, starting now, and also they actually have to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. Because if they don't, they're going to fall out of that top 7, because currently the Galaxy are 6th in the conference, behind Dallas, who has 25 points. And then they're barely clinging on to that sixth spot, as they have 24 points compared to Seattle's 23. And Seattle's starting to play better soccer as of late. Today, I want to say it was today. No, it was today. Today they beat Kansas City 3-0, even though Sporting KC is not that good. They beat Vancouver 4-0 prior to their tie against prior to the tie against LAFC, and then like I said, they beat Sporting KC 2-0 or 3-0 today. So the Sounders are starting to play better soccer, which is not a recipe for success. The Galaxy have to start getting back on track, and it starts Wednesday against Minnesota. Minnesota is also in the hunt for that 7th spot, if not a playoff spot. There's plenty of season left to go, so the Galaxy are nowhere near out of the woods. Now, as for LAFC, the little brother, I say little brother quite nicely in quotations, they actually got themselves quite a nice little gift, as they actually signed... Can we get a drum roll, please? It was faint, but you could probably hear it. LAFC actually signed Gareth Bale from Real Madrid. So that's the good news. The bad news is he won't be available to play until July 7th, which is basically the end of the sit-out period for Bale. And on July 8th, which is when he's going to make his LAFC debut, he is actually going to play for, get this, everybody, listen. Gareth Bale will be making his debut on July 8th against none other than the LA Galaxy. Yup, that's who the Galaxy will be, or that's who the LAFC is going to be playing once Bale is able to make his debut. And that is quite the debut right there. I'm surprised they're having the game on Friday. So, that game on Friday, but I guess Saturday might be a holiday. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be huge right there. And LAFC has no more excuses when it comes to making the playoffs, or missing the playoffs right here. Like, it's getting quite tiresome hearing this team's number of excuses. Because if you look at them right now, they are currently on top of the Western Conference. That's a given right there. They currently have a whopping 30 points, which is 2 more than Real Salt Lake. They also signed Giorgio Chiellini. If I pronounce that, I apologize. They signed Giorgio Chiellini. Like I said, they just signed Gareth Bale, and they just re-signed Carlos Vela. So, if for some reason LAFC fails to make the playoffs this year, which currently, keep in mind, they are still first in the Western Conference, but if the LAFC fails to make the playoffs, I'm going to lose it. I think every soccer fan is going to wonder, how the F did this team somehow not make the playoffs? But either way, I like LAFC's chances. Getting 2 big-time signings and re-signing Carlos Vela is huge right there. Like, I just don't see a formula of how LAFC misses the playoffs. Maybe if they go 2 months without a win, yes. Maybe 3 months without a win, yes. But LAFC's not that bad. I just can't see it. Anyway, so for LAFC, they actually have a game this Sunday at home against the New York Red Bulls. Looking at the Red Bulls, they're actually second in the Eastern Conference, which is huge right there. So, the entire Eastern Conference has been a complete flip-flop. Last time, or a few times ago when I made note of the Eastern Conference, it was Philadelphia on top of the Eastern Conference. Now it's the New York teams on top. There's NYCFC, New York City Football Club on top. And then in second place is the New York Red Bulls. So baseball isn't the only thing that New York is good at in terms of pro sports. The MLS is too, so it's quite nice. Currently right now, though, LAFC is still the best team in the league, which is nice. It's really nice. So I'm really interested to see how they'll do against New York. If they could beat New York, that would be quite something. And coming up on Wednesday, that Red Bulls matchup could also be a trap game, because on Wednesday, LAFC plays Dallas, which we all know how good Dallas is. They are 5th in the Western Conference, and they have that canny ability to knock off teams that they're not supposed to knock off. But overall, LAFC is going to be really battle-tested this week. Like, it's really going to be a roller coaster ride for LAFC, and I'm looking forward to it. I really think that LAFC has potential, and they're doing a better job than they did last year, obviously. Last year was kind of a disastrous year for them and the Galaxy, but for LAFC, they're starting to get it together, and they're starting to piece themselves quite a contender team. My only thing is the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, will they actually find a way to not disappoint in the playoffs? It seems like no matter what seed they are, whether they're the top seed, whether they're the 7 seed, no matter what, they always seem to find a way to let a win slip through the fingers. But we'll see what happens when it comes to LAFC come playoff time. I think it's an exciting time to be an LAFC fan, but it still remains to be seen on what they can really do. On paper, they look good, but now it's time to put that paper to good use. So that is going to do it for the MLS portion of the show. Jumping on over to the NWSL sort of things. So the NWSL, in terms of Angel City and San Diego Wave, are basically the tale of two different teams. You obviously have San Diego Wave FC, which is doing absolutely great things, and they're making Southern California proud, which is really nice. Then you unfortunately have Angel City, which is kind of lagging a bit. Unfortunately, they did lose Christen Press to an ACL injury. I talked about this a little last week, but they lost Christen Press to an ACL injury. She tore her ACL, and she is out for the season. That is a huge loss right there, and it really sucks just because Christen Press has been outstanding for Angel City. They could have definitely used her in their matchup against OL Reign, which Angel City lost 1-0. Currently, right now, for Angel City, they are resting at 6th in the NWSL regular season standings. And I finally got around to doing my homework. I finally got around to knowing how the NWSL playoff format works. More on that later. So, following Angel City's game against OL Reign, they don't have another matchup until next Friday when they are back home at California Bank Stadium when they play Portland. And I messed up on the home name again. I tried to say it without looking at the actual name, but it is Bank of California Stadium, not California Bank Stadium. It's Bank of California Stadium. Anyway, so Angel City plays Portland again. We all know how good Portland is. Nobody is sleeping on Portland. They are currently second in the NWSL standings, right behind San Diego. And honestly, I'm not even going to make the excuse of they won that matchup, or they tied that matchup against San Diego, which San Diego should have won, but due to lack of VAR and technology that the NWSL doesn't have, San Diego didn't win that one. They tied. But back to Angel City versus Portland. That's going to be a tough matchup. Considering they don't have Christen Press, the Thorns are really going to stick it. They probably could stick it to Angel City, but you never know when it comes to soccer. Like, anything could happen, and Angel City is still... They're still in the thick of it. Like, I don't think they're out of it by any means. They have 10 games left to try to turn it around. So, we'll see if Angel City can turn it around. Like, the drop-off from number 6 to number 7 is kind of big, just because Washington, Gotham, Louisville, and Kansas City all have 9 points, while Angel City has 13, as well as OL Reign. So, we'll have to see what happens when it comes to Angel City going forward. Going over to Wave, they actually got back into the win column after 3 ties in a row, heaven forbid, as they actually beat Gotham 3-0, which is a statement win. I think that's a big statement win right there, and it keeps them ahead of the NWSL standings. They don't have to stick with Portland and Chicago in a 3-way tie for first place. So that's good news for Wave, as they as well as Angel City FC are basically on break until their next game. San Diego, on the other hand, they return home to Torero Stadium to take on Washington on Sunday, July 3rd, which is next Sunday. So, looking at Washington, that could be a pivotal matchup for Washington, and let me just tell you why. So, the NWSL playoff format is the top 6 teams in the NWSL go to the playoffs. The first 2 teams, number 1 and number 2, get a first round bye, while 3, 4, 5, and 6 duke it out with one another. 3 takes on 6, 4 takes on 5, and then it's basically whoever's the last team standing wins. I don't know if there's any relegation. I highly doubt there is, but whatever. So, now that I mentioned the 6th spot and 7th spot, Washington, Gotham, Louisville, and Kansas City are all log-jammed at 7 through 10 with 9 points, while Angel City has 13 points. Keep in mind, Angel City is going to have to continue the season without Christen Press, which is really horrible. It's really sad. I really hate how Christen Press is out for the season, and I wish her a speedy recovery. So, for San Diego, they need to continue to win their games that truly matter, especially since Portland is still hot. Chicago, despite tying with Kansas City, they're still on the coattails. Like last June, they were able to go a match without losing, which is quite impressive. I mean, same can be said for San Diego, but most of their games were ties. But what can you do? And then the Houston Dash aren't too far behind as well. They have 15 points. So for Wave, no one is taking them lightly just because they're a first-year program. And obviously they have Alex Morgan on the team, so for the Wave, they're going to have to ride it and basically make sure they do not underestimate anybody, as Alex Morgan continues to be their goal leader with 11 goals. And it's going to, I still think they have a good shot at making the playoffs. Looking at San Diego's schedule right now, they have a whopping 12 games remaining as opposed to Angel City's 10. So for the Wave, they just have to basically not mess up. It sounds, excuse me a second. It sounds cheesy, but honestly, I really think that San Diego, it has that potential to being a top team, locking up the top seed, and honestly just doing some big damage in the NWSL playoffs. I really think that the Wave, with Alex Morgan, can do a lot of great things. And I really want to see this Wave FC team just making the playoffs, because nothing would be worse than letting throughout a good chunk of the NWSL standings and then just falling out of that top six, kind of like what happened with the Galaxy, where they were pretty much in the playoffs. They were pretty much in the top 7 throughout the entire season until the last day of the season, where they tied with Real Salt Lake and they wound up losing because the Colorado Avalanche unfortunately won their final game and whatnot. So overall for San Diego, they're having a great season. It's all about continuing their success. They have 12 games remaining. Looking at their games in July, they have Washington. They are on the road against Angel City, at home against Louisville, and the Chicago matchup is going to be what truly could be make or break for their playoff chances, if not their playoff positioning. Either way, I am excited for what San Diego still has to offer for this season. So that is that for the NWSL portion of the show. And that is pretty much going to do it for this show. But before we head out, we have to give out the Dum Dum of the Week award. The Dum Dum of the Week award. Oh, before we do that, I forgot to talk about the Sparks. So the Sparks were able to win a game this past week against the Washington Mystics. They won 84-82. On Thursday, they got demolished by the Chicago Sky, 82-59. Someone was mad after we spoiled their championship raising banner. And then the Sparks also lost to the Dallas Wings, 92-82. Currently, right now, they are playing the Seattle Storm, and they are down 21-14. It does not get easier as they play the Las Vegas Aces on Monday, which will actually be the halfway point of the WNBA season. So it's basically going to be gut check time for the Sparks if they want to make the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. I know that was a quick little segment, but there's nothing really happy to talk about when it comes to the Sparks. Just like the Angels, they fired their coach pretty much midway through the season, and then they just haven't been able to live up to the expectations. The good thing is that Katie Lou Samuelson has just been a positive bright spot for them, and she continues to do well. She came over from the Chicago Sky, and she's been able to flourish. I just feel like she's back home where she belongs, just because she did grow up in Southern California, Orange County to be exact, Huntington Beach to be exact. But I'm glad Katie Lou Samuelson is thriving on the Sparks. It also helps that her sister, Carly, played for the Sparks as well, so there's that too. So that is that for the WNBA portion. I know I kind of had to breeze through that, but it's time we get into the Dum Dum of the Week award. So the Dum Dum of the Week award goes out to anyone or anything or any group that decides to do something dumb, that I rule just absolutely incompetent. Anyone can get this award. No one is safe, not even myself. I've gotten the award a few times, which I am not afraid to say that, just because I have done some dumb things in my life, or in ever since this award has been a thing. So we actually have 2 Dum Dum of the Week awards. So the first Dum Dum of the Week award, okay, obviously we got to get into fans. So fans can be passionate of anything. However, they could be a bit too passionate. Let's go back to the Sacramento LA Galaxy game, U.S. Cup quarterfinal game. So following the Galaxy's loss to Sacramento, fans, I don't know if it was just mainly Galaxy fans. I imagine it was mainly Galaxy fans, but fans were throwing things onto the field following the Galaxy's loss to Sacramento. Let me say that again. Fans were throwing objects onto the field following the Galaxy's loss to Sacramento. Now, I don't know if it was Galaxy fans doing that or Sacramento fans doing that, but either way, it's absolutely ridiculous that happened. I can't believe that actually happened. It's disgusting. Fans who behave that way have zero tolerance for being there. The fact that fans were throwing things at the players onto the field is disappointing. Even if it's onto the field, that fans should not be doing that, especially if they could hurt the players. Like, think about the players. What if something sharp hits them or something hard hits them upside the head? Like, why would people do that? I'm disappointed in the fans and that people that threw objects onto the field following the Galaxy-Sacramento game. I don't care if you were a Sacramento fan. I don't care if you were a Galaxy fan. I don't even care if you were an LAFC fan that was just undercover. The fact that you threw an object onto the field following the Galaxy-Sacramento game in the U.S. Cup quarterfinals is absolutely disappointing. There's better ways to react than throwing stuff onto the field. It's sickening in my opinion. And the fans that did that, shame on you. Shame on you. I hope you get caught. I hope you get banned from I'm blanking on the Galaxy's name of their stadium. The former StubHub Center. But I hope you get banned from the stadium that Dignity Health Sports Park. There you go. I hope you get banned from Dignity Health Sports Park, and I hope you never, ever, ever come back to a soccer game and throw your stuff onto the field like that, which could possibly risk hurting a player or players or official or any of that stuff. But regardless, to the fans that threw the objects onto the field following the LA Galaxy Sacramento game or match, you are this week's Dum Dum of the Week Award recipient number 1.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
So that, my friends, is Dum Dum of the Week Award number 1 that I have given out. Dum Dum of the Week Award number 2 is a little bit more lighthearted. Don't worry, we're going to end this thing on a lighter note. So, Dum Dum of the Week Award number 2. Remember what I said about the talking heads that were from last week on how some of them predicted that Steph Curry would never win an NBA championship in his 4-year extension? Well, let's just say that was kind of a thing. So, on the I talked about how First Take had some bad takes. We go into another show that had this bad take. First things first, on FS1. So, jumping over to the NBA, Nick Wright, I have no words on what he said. Everyone on this earth pretty much does not like Nick Wright. First of all, I'm pretty sure he predicted the Warriors not to win the NBA championship. Second of all, he has cruddy takes. And third, here's what he said. This is the tip. Here's the icing on the cake. He has a Lakers trade proposal. He says he wants Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving and and Ben Simmons. Let me say that again. Nick Wright has Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook being traded for Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. Huh? I cannot believe that proposal. That is the worst proposal I have ever heard in my life. First of all, the Lakers traded so much to get Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, and you mean to tell me they're going to get Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons? Oh my goodness. I almost wanted to throw up after reading this. I almost want to throw my phone in the trash at work after seeing this horrible, horrible trade proposal. Here's what Nick Wright had to say. Simmons can play center. Kyrie and LeBron are reunited, and Russ and KD are reunited. That's a trade I think both teams have an all-hands-on-deck meeting for. Both teams need to shake the damn snow globe. Absolutely not. You're trading away Anthony Davis, which the Lakers gave up so much for, as well as Russell Westbrook, for two knockoffs. Ben Simmons does not give a rat's tail about playing basketball, and Kyrie's probably going to throw a hissy fit and basically just not care and have load management for 100,000 days. And you mean to tell me he proposed that? Oh my gosh. It's so bad. Who pays this man? Revoke this man's check. Take him off the air. I could not believe what I said. I even said on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show Twitter account, hell no. I would not accept this trade no matter what. Even if a gun was pointed to my head, I would say hell no to this trade. And you mean to tell me that Nick Wright proposed this trade? He thought just because KD and Russell Westbrook are reunited, LeBron and Kyrie are reunited. Get out of here with that. And Anthony Davis was one of the reasons why the Lakers won a ring. And you mean to tell me you're going to trade him away? I know AD is injury prone, but come on, dude. Absolutely sickening right there. I even felt sick to my stomach even talking about this. Regardless, Nick Wright, the fact that you proposed that terrible trade between the Lakers and the Nets, you are this week's Dumb Dumb of the Week Award recipient number 2.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Wait. Say that again. Tell him that again.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that, my friends, is all she wrote. The worst trade proposal in the world, hands down. Don't at me. Book it. But on that note, before I lose my mind, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let's get on out of here, because all that yelling has made me hungry. You dig? Thank you everyone for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate you all tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I really do appreciate you. Big shout to the live chat room, Mike, Pat, and John Lupe. I appreciate both of you for tuning me in. I apologize to anyone that had to deal with me moving my show around, but I had to do it. I had to get this show out of the way, especially all that is going on in SoCal, especially with that dumb right trade proposal. Either way, for everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. You all have a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Wear your sunscreen. Don't be a dum-dum. And one more thing, please do yourself a favor. Be happy. Break free from all the stress, negativity that the world has to bind you with. Just know this. Everything is going to be right. It's all right in this world. No matter what the craziness, make sure remember, everything will be okay. Everything will be all right. Because I'm here for you no matter what. And just know that the world is going to continue to be a good place, no matter what is going on in the world. Make sure you feel light in this world and not a wave of darkness. Please remember that. And eventually, you will see the glass half full instead of half empty. But that is going to do it for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We are back on our regular time and day next week. Do remember that. I'll see you all for Sacramento on Monday. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!